Hey YouTube! If you don't know me, hi! I'm Blythe, also known as Exo Blythe, and I play a lot of video games in my spare time, including Dead by Daylight, in which I have over 2,000 hours between console and PC. Recently, I've been getting a lot of questions on what my favorite survivor perks are to run, and I thought I'd make a quick and informal video on what perks I really enjoy on Survivor, why I like them, and what their synergy is with other perks. Please note that this is in no specific order. These are just perks that I either really enjoy running or I find very useful or enjoyable to my playstyle, which ranges from utility focused to goofing and gaffing. To kick things off, I run Bond a lot, like all the time, to the point that there's a noticeable difference in my matches when I take it off and run something else in its place. I initially started running Bond because I was accidentally running the killer to my teammates when I was playing solo queue, and I've come to love it for the information that it gives. It's been invaluable in solo queue to be able to see where my teammates are when I'm in chase and avoid those areas so that they can do their thing, as well as to see if my teammate in chase is bringing the killer to where I am. I can either take a hit, take chase, or I can give them the loop to work with. While it's not as necessary to run while playing with friends, it's still pretty helpful overall. Bond is solid on its own, but it can really shine in builds where you're going for flashlight saves or sabotage plays. I've had great value with it, and I recommend it heavily if you're looking for a good informational perk. On the topic of flashlight saves and sabotage plays, I've started using background player recently, and while I know there's some contention over the perk, I find it's just fun if you're going for a more aggressive playstyle that can shift the heat from your teammates onto you. I'll be the first to admit that I rely on exhaustion perks a lot in chases. I'm currently trying to wean myself off of that and rely more on map knowledge and chase experience. Background player has been helping with that because the only time I get value from it is if I'm trying to get a teammate off the killer's shoulder somehow. I feel like I'm contributing to my team in another capacity, I guess, and while that may or may not be true, it's just fun. I've had some fun chases because of it. Background player can work really well in a standard sabotage build with Saboteur, Breakout, and Bond or Empathy, whichever you prefer. You can also swap out an aura perk for Medal of Man if you're anticipating taking hits while going for it. If flashlights are more your style, Streetwise is a solid pairing, and Champion of Light can add some extra bonuses to getting those blinds. I tend to avoid running endgame perks because I can count on one hand how often I make it to endgame in a DBD session, but Hope is so good since Behavior buffed it to be permanently active once all of the gens are done. While 7% haste doesn't seem like a lot, it can make a big difference when you account for Bloodlust, the 4% haste Noed can give a killer at endgame, and the hindered status effect. To use Wesker as an example, the hindered effect from being fully infected is 8%. With Hope, it's gutted to 1%, and it can turn a guaranteed loss into a fighting chance. Hope is another perk that's great on its own. If you're confident in your abilities as a survivor and in your team, running a full gamut of in-game perks like Adrenaline, No One Left Behind, and Wake Up can make you an unstoppable force once all of the gens are done. I've been anointed a rat by my community, and I take it in stride, and I owe my rat tendencies to the perk Deception. When Deception is active, you open a locker while running past it without jumping in it. It makes a loud noise notification for the killer, and for 3 seconds, your scratch marks are hidden. This perk isn't necessarily the strongest you could run, but it's easily one of the silliest. It's really funny when you get value out of it by making a killer check lockers, and I have had success in escaping chases with it. I've had even more success with being an absolute demon and a nuisance by running it with Head On, Quick and Quiet, and Flashbang. This build is by no means going to guarantee you escapes, but it is objectively funny tricking a killer into checking a locker, then stunning them with Head On, then blinding them with Flashbang. Some killers will get the joke and roll with it. Others might tunnel and camp you for it, and that's fine because if you're running this build, then you probably do not care about escaping. What's the point in playing a game if you're not having fun, right? On the subject of silly perks that aren't necessarily strong but are still fun, Blast Mine is one of my favorite perks in the game, full stop. This perk does nothing outside of stun and blind the killer for a few seconds if they kick the generator it's active on, but it's so funny to see it happen on Aura, or to just see the score event pop up after you've left to go get an unhook, or even linger close by to absorb the full effect on it. If you're like me and dreaded doing blind the killer 500 times in a single trial challenges because you couldn't aim flashlights, this perk is for you, and it rewards you for doing the objective. The best combination I've seen with Blast Mine is Repressed Alliance, which allows you to block a generator and prevent the killer from kicking it. The general idea is you get your Blast Mine value, and while the killer is stunned, run up to the generator and block it. If you do this, be prepared to be chased for a good minute or so. If you're a solo queue demon, perks like Resilience and Windows of Opportunity can come in clutch in different ways. Resilience gives you a 9% action speed bonus to virtually any action in the game and can be the difference between life and death when vaulting windows or pallets in chase. I've pulled off some nutty plays thanks to the perk, and when the killer leaves me and I can't get healed up, I get value from hopping on a generator while injured. Windows of Opportunity shows you the auras of pallets, windows, and breakable walls, which can give you a sneak peek at what you have to work with at a tile when you're in chase and running towards something. It can be really great for learning how tiles and pallets spawn on various maps, but it is addictive and can become a crutch if you're not careful. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about my favorite exhaustion perk in the game, Lithe. Lithe gives you a 150% burst of speed for 3 seconds after fast vaulting a window or pallet, and it's become more common these days, but I've been a Lithe enjoyer since 2020. It can be really great at mind gaming around tall walls and chase, and it can be even better at giving you distance to get from an unsafe tile to a safer tile while in chase. I've also used it on occasion to get to an unhook before a teammate hits the next stage. Essentially, the possibilities are endless. Lithe pairs nicely with Quick and Quiet and Dance With Me to make your fast vaults quiet and make your scratch marks disappear, so you can vanish before the killer's eyes, most of the time. That's pretty much it. There's a few other perks I enjoy to run on Survivor, Power Struggle, Fast Track, and Vigil, to name a few, but these are the ones that I come back to quite a bit. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite perks and builds are, and if you want to see some of these perks in action, I'm live 4 days a week over on Twitch. Come say hi!